So previously, I had a Last of Us season two thoughts series up, and I have decided to, basically delete those videos, mostly because I think the problem with doing that series, the thoughts series, is that it's more of a reaction than it is, I guess you would say a more thought to put what like more of a actual more well put together thoughts on the show. So I decided, hey, delete the videos and let's actually do a serious, sit down, let's talk about The Last of Us Season 2. Because, man, I think those videos, I was overly nice to the show. I think I was a little over forgiving too. And first off, I want to say this right now. Just putting it out there right now. I don't think the show is overall bad. I think the acting from all the actresses part, is great. I think far as the set, the sets and the affected, everything looks great. It looks like The Last of Us to me. Like if you ask me like what does The Last of Us look like in reality, I point to that. But one of the biggest problems I have with the show, and it's a problem I'm seeing a lot of people had with the show, is that it just really didn't do anything that new with the story we were told from the games. Like it, for note to note, if you're like to boil down the bullet points, it's the same story, but they never took advantage of actually altering things to the benefit of the show. Now, granted, they would change things, where certain characters would be during certain events. They will tell us more backstories. Maybe they would give a character a little bit more spotlight. But like I said, when you're boiling it down to the bullet points, it's the same story, but it feels lesser. Because in a lot of ways, it is lesser. It's a lesser version of the story. And I feel like the problem with them telling this story, the way that basically copying the games, is it doesn't have the benefit of the games. So where the season ends, it's basically right as we would take over playing as Abby, right? But in a game, you continue from there, and then you continue to get more and more context into stuff that's going on behind the scenes that you might not notice in Ellie's part. And the show, the problem with that is we don't get that. We don't get that because we have to now wait a couple years, possibly, for season 3 to come out to finally, see where the rest of the story goes. Where it just, that's not good for season 2. Like, season 2, like I said, there's stuff I liked. I like the fact that they changed it instead of Tommy being there, Dina being there. I thought that was a good change. It made it actually, important why Dina was there instead of just following Ellie. They gave Dina more backstory. They told us a little bit more about her. That's great. They gave, they gave Jesse a little bit more. Granted, it wasn't much more, but, I like what they did when it came to like these, I guess saying kind of adding a little bit on top of these characters, but they don't add enough that makes a difference. Whereas, like, at the end of the day, I still kind of feel the same way about Dina in the show that I feel like Dina in the games. Like, I like the character, don't get it twisted. I think the actor who played her did a great job, but I think the problem I have with Dina is that she's a supporting character dominated by two big leads that honestly just kind of dwarf her in size. And the last episode, she's just literally waiting. She's just literally waiting. She spends more time on that couch, on the chair, than she does actually doing something. To me, that's a problem. I wish she would actually do more after she finds out she's pregnant. Now, granted, there is the scene where her and Ellie try to go, to the hospital, but gets basically stopped by the infected. Jesse fucking saves their ass. That to me was like, okay, this was like kind of wake up call for Dina. Then she got shot in the leg with an arrow. That was like, okay, now she's just not gonna do anything. Now I kind of got a problem with that, Granted, in the context of everything happening, it's like it kind of makes sense why she's been benched, but in the show, she's benched because she got shot in the leg with an arrow. Okay, but I think the game did it better where they visibly make her sick. Like she does not look good in those scenes in the games, but in the show it's just like, oh, I just got shot in the leg with an arrow. I'm like, but you can still walk, you can still move. Why can't you help? No, instead it's like, no, let's just keep her benched now because that's what they did in the game. And it's just like, I hate that. And while I love episode 6, I was watching this video. I'll post a link into it in the description where they were talking about this, and they said they kind of understand now why those flashbacks are actually in the game the way they're in the game. Because those scenes are supposed to be kind of like us kind of getting some insight to stuff going on instead of like being just outright told what's going on. This is the thing I actually kind of like when they pointed out on the show, this video actually I was watching, it was like, oh my god, I do hate this. And this was, they just had to tell us everything. And it's like, no, oh my god, no. This is why I respect the game so much. It's because it respects my intelligence enough to recognize that, hey, maybe I don't have to tell you everything that's going on. And most importantly, they keep a lot of things a mystery. They keep the reveal that Abby is the daughter of the doctor that Joel killed does not get revealed till literally halfway when you first start playing as her part. And then it's like, oh my god, it makes total sense why she hates Joel now. That makes sense. But here, it's just second episode in, we're just told. And it's like, oh no, this takes away any reason I would want to watch Abby's side of the story now. Because I would, how the game did it was that they kind of kept you in the dark. They kind of keep leading you on and keep getting you to, getting you to wonder, like, why does she really want to kill Joel? But then, even in the context of the game, when they go to Jackson, for the record, this is also a big thing, they don't know Joel's there. They're looking for Tommy. They're not looking for Joel. But in the show, they're looking for Joel, and they go to Jackson, and they just happen to get him. It actually kind of doesn't make it more of a coincidence, right? And like, listen, while episode 2, in my opinion, is a good episode, I feel like the problem I have with it is that's like, yeah, it's just the explaining. It's the explaining of everything. They explain that, yes, they could have made a cure. They explain all this. That's the one I'm bothered by. That's the thing I think I'm most bothered by is that and how they kind of fucked with the timeline too much. So let me just get this out. Just kind of put my thoughts together here. That's the way we're recording. So, but one of my big problems is just the explaining. And I just spent a bit of time talking about that. But it's like, to me, that tells me they don't think we're intelligent enough to put it together. Or we haven't played the game. Which, okay, big problem there. I don't like how Tommy's not even really involved in the story. I don't. Literally, this guy has maybe 2 cool scenes in the first 2 episodes. And then just off in the distance. Oh, he comes with Jesse because they're tracking down Ellie and fucking Dina. Oh, Ellie left the map behind. So, okay, this actually leads into our question: how did Abby find Ellie? Because that's the same how Tommy and Jesse found Dina and Ellie. It's how Abby finds Ellie and Dina and Tommy and Jesse in the game. So what does Ellie have like infinite maps where she's just putting down their fucking HQ like, oh, just in case if someone finds us right here, let's just put this down. Just like, oh no, I didn't even think about that till now. Just like, at the end of the day, do I think season 2 is bad television? No, I don't think it's bad television, but I think it's a lesser adaptation. One of the big benefits of The Last of Us Season 1 is that it was doing Part 1 story. Part 1 story, it's wrapped up nicely. It's, I've said in the past, in the previous video, that I think Season 1 gets a little rushed in the end. But overall, they wrap it up nicely. It's a nice, tight story because it's a self-contained story. But now the problem with Season 2 is they're doing essentially what could be 3 seasons worth of material and extending it out. But even then, when they extended out this season, it just felt like a lesser show. If like almost like 3 out of the 7 episodes to me felt like they did not have to be there. And like I said, I personally, the video I was watching basically said this. What they should have done is actually done the flashback stuff that was in episode 6 as the cold openings. And the more I think about that, I'm like, oh my god, that would have been great. And then you know what? Maybe we could have, the 6th episode could have been a story about, you know, Abby and how she ran into Isaac and all that. I don't know, something more than what we got, which was like, hey, great episode, made me happy. But you could have done this better. You could have actually done this where you could have kind of kept the story going amongst the episodes as the cold opening. Because for the record, some of those parts didn't last that fucking long. And you could have boiled down to some of that stuff, like the Eugene stuff. You could have boiled it down, and it would have been fine. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm not the director. I'm not Craig Mazin. I'm not Neil Druckmann. At the end of the day, I just feel like this is a lesser season. Okay? Still a good season. I still liked a lot of it. But there was stuff that just bugged me. And it's like, I can't sit there and just be like, I'm happy with it. Because I'm a Last of Us fan. Because if I'm a Last of Us fan, I want better. I want this to actually feel like an adaptation instead of being a carbon copy, which is one of the things I was dreading with season 1. Because if there was a season that would be a carbon copy, I thought it'd be season 1. But to me, there was an opportunity here to alter things to make it better. But in my opinion, I think they altered things to make it worse. And it makes me a little worried for season 3. But then again, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give the showrunners, I'm going to give Craig Mazin, Neil Druckmann, all of them a benefit of the doubt. Hoping season 3 learns from the mistakes of season 2. Maybe you don't have to have 7 episodes. Maybe Abby's story could be boiled down to 5. And then maybe like a filler episode in there, but like it's a filler episode about Ellie and Dina and their life, you know, getting the farm and everything. Personally, that's what I would prefer. It's like, you know, then we get to catch up with Ellie and them, and then we can lead into season 4 with the reveal that Abby's still alive and Tommy knows where she is. That's just my thoughts. So until next time, guys, this is That PlayStation Gamer saying The Last of Us Season 2, yes, is not good as season 1, and I do think it missed a lot of the points, but still, there was some good stuff in it. I can't say I hated it all the way. I just wish they would have done it better. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that YouTube other than BS. Bye.